Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're going to jump right into it. We're going to go over the stock market's expected moves for the week and just kind of, what I think in general. So last week we finally saw the sell off. If you guys have been following, you were part of any of the live streams last week, then you know I went short. I was in QQQ puts. I gotta say, if I had $1 for every time somebody said, "Are you still in your puts? Are you still short?" I would have more money from that than I would actually made from my puts, and my puts paid out a lot. Um, so hang on one second. Anyway, let's we say we rock and roll. All right. So as far as the open goes, we got a lot of stuff. We got a lot of lines on here. Um, So typically in the stream, we talk about the dollar, the Russell, the Nasdaq, the S&P, and maybe anything that kind of goes along with it. Like when we talk about the dollar, we get into Bitcoin. We'll just let's kick it off with the S&P because it's already up there. And this is something I would take like in the forex world. I really would. Forex is a sideways market, so when you see like a trend line, a break, and a retest, I actually like that play. I actually don't care for it when it comes to like the S&P. Any just individual stocks, I don't know. I'm just not a fan. So when I look at it as a whole, I have this trend line going up, right? So buyers have been just getting their friends, more buyers than sellers. That's where, and they just come in sooner, and you get these higher lows. Now last week we just blasted right through that trend line. Doesn't really mean much of anything. Ultimately, let's switch to the even to the daily. We held this zone right here, and I know my charts probably have a lot of lines in there right now. As the contracts roll over, we ended up just using this just for data because it looks like the continuous contract. If you trade futures, that makes sense. If not, don't worry about it. Uh, so ultimately, we could have held, and this could just be, maybe a minor glitch where the trend line needs to be more right here. I don't like moving trend lines because that's where you get in a position of just selling yourself a play. It's not something I'm trading anyway. I'm not buying on a trend line. While I do all my charting out and plan my trades all the night before because tomorrow, I'll have the real estate of my cell phone. It'll look like this. I'll have a few candles, but I'll see that trend line and know, okay, we're making some higher lows. So getting into as far as the open goes, nothing. We have a complete breakdown. Now, all we have right now is a dead cat bounce, still very much in a trend down. So looking at that is where you got to ask yourself, what camp are you in? What time frame are you trading? Because smaller time frame, that's a dead cat bounce. You might think to go short, right? Bear flag or reversal, they will look the same. You might be on a higher time frame thinking, hey, that's a higher low. And here's your last low. Yeah, you got it. It checks out. It is higher than the last one. So whether it made a nice clean line or not, so be it. As far as that goes, the reason why I was bearish was we saw some different trading activity last week, and we had sold off the previous levels, but we'd sold off a little differently. So that's why I switched and went bearish. Ultimately, it was an awesome trade. I don't care about any of the excuses. We saw CPI came out and inflation was high. We still went higher. And then PPI came out, and then we finally started to get that breakdown. I don't correlate it to either one, to be honest. I just watched, and it did look like somebody big was exiting the market, which is why I went short. Again, I locked that in, and tomorrow morning, this has been a long-winded way of just saying I'm probably going to wait till a little bit after open just to see. I want the banks to show up. I want them to get their coffee. I want to just let everybody else get situated, show me their hand first, and then get into it. Is the 317 live? I'm so confused. It's today's date. We're live, Lisa. I went live just to talk to you. Hang on. I want to find out if Jordan's here. Hang on one second. Anyway, my nephew texted me. He said, "Hey, I want to learn the stock markets." It turns out he's been watching my videos for a while. Banging. I do think it's awesome because usually family and friends are like, "What if I just give you money and you do it?" I'm like, "Oh, well, that's sweet." Everyone asks me that. No, no, there's no. Zoom will be after this, Lisa. Hang on, I gotta tell Jordan to. Um, all right. Let's see. So, hang on. Well, give me 2 seconds here. He says, "Good evening. Thanks for doing an evening live on the weekend." Well, Jonathan, this is what I do every weekend. I'm hearing many YouTubers that they expect the markets to tank after the first rate cut, but expect the bull run to continue until then. Any thoughts? Um, Okay, so they expect it to tank after the first rate cut. They got that from a chart a while back because it did, historically that's what it's done. We talk about rate cuts and then they price that in and then the rates cut, and then all of a sudden the market tanks. But you have to understand what causes a rate cut and why some of these YouTubers, well, they're good entertainment, right? They don't really know what they're talking about. And again, it's not to talk bad, but just think about this for a second, guys. Why would we cut rates? Well, they just feel good. They just want to give you a good little handout. What are you expecting a stimulus check too? Just because you're bored? You think Congress is bored? They're going to cut rates when they need to stimulate the economy. Right now, whether it's everybody stacking on debt or not, doesn't matter. They're going to the stores, they're clicking on Amazon, they're still buying things. So people can complain all they want, but as long as they keep showing up to the stores, they keep paying for gas that's that much, like it's just going to keep going up. Why wouldn't you? As a business owner, why wouldn't you? Now, what's going to happen, and unfortunately it sucks, is people will drive right to the very edge and then all of a sudden they can't, and then there's this drop off, and then the economy does take a hit. At that point they do need to stimulate, so they'll go hand in hand, but not because of each other. If that makes sense. They're not just going to just lower the rates and all of a sudden the market's going to say, well, that sucks, let me sell my stock. It's probably going to tank, and they're going to end up lowering rates to stimulate the economy. Anyway, let's jump back into the dollar. Damani. Two camps for cuts, either something broke or soft landing. Yeah. Quick question, guys, real quick. Let me know in the comments down below. Which one do you think happens first, a soft landing or Bigfoot subscribes to Netflix? He doesn't have to be found. He just needs to subscribe. That's all. All right. As far as the dollar goes, I gotta be honest, I'm hoping the dollar tanks. So do whatever it needs to do that. Don't care. Now the markets, it'll be a lot easier for the markets to go green if the dollar is selling off. I am short the dollar right now. It Avenue says Bigfoot. Lisa says Bigfoot. So a lot of people are saying Bigfoot. Um, all right, so I did add on to my dollar short. And I told you guys last week if it pumps up to this yellow zone, that I thought about going short. I was like, nah, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait till we hit this yellow zone. At that point, I am going short. Netflix subscribes to Bigfoot. Bigfoot's gonna subscribe to watch Jake Paul or Logan Paul. Which one is it? Anyway, he's gonna watch Mike Tyson. If I was Bigfoot, I would show up for that. That's where I'd come out of hiding. Want to see that happen. Put that cane down, put on some boxing gloves. All right. Man, another one. If I charged for every time I answered the question, do you think Bitcoin's going to sell off any further? I could buy coins. Not a percentage of a coin. Not any Satoshis. We're talking coins. Okay, so this is our first kind of sell off that we've had in Bitcoin. We're on the 4-hour chart, by the way, and we covered this ground inside of 4 hours, but then we snapped it right back up. So we're kind of bleeding out, and let's just see kind of how we hang out at this zone right here. Getting above, I think, would be bullish. I'm really not too concerned about Bitcoin until we see something like this fork action. When you zoom out, it does look like Batman's head. You want to call it a fork. We sell off, we get one higher high, but then we do sell off a little bit lower, and then everything changes. But you see how we start to stall? We go from the higher highs, just get to higher highs, and then we just get a little bit higher, and then we do put in first of all, we put in our first lower low, and then that. And at that point, it's time to probably time to get out. What's the website called? What's up, Jordan? This is my nephew. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the presence of greatness. This is tradingview.com. What's up? What's up? What's up, Frank? All right. So as far as the Bitcoin holders, typical price action. I don't know if I would really even be worried. Although if you're in Bitcoin, this is par for the course. This is a very quiet, very nothing Bitcoin from what we're used to seeing. So if you're just going to talk about the trend, and that's probably all I can give you because I'm going to buy it regardless. The daily trend is down until we get above this right here. Until we get above that, we'll call it 70,000. The daily trend is down. Bitcoin better go up for my Mara position. It better. Steve says, welcome, Jordan. Great opportunity to learn skills that can pay you well. They can. I'm going to show them. The Paul, you guys are saying Paul. Is it Jake or Logan? I'm just going to start calling him Paul too. What's up, Paul? Paul and Tyson fight is the biggest setup I've ever seen. They aren't even trying to be inconspicuous anymore. Just a money grab. First of all, I like that everybody's excited for that, but if I go beat up somebody as old as Mike Tyson, I'd be in jail. It's Jake. Okay, so Jake Paul. And I don't know. Most of those boxing matches are just a money grab. They're gonna do something, and then someone's gonna win or lose. Although, if I'm Mike Tyson, I got enough money. Maybe you just want some retirement money. I'm thinking I got enough. I'm going in. There's no way I'm gonna let some little kid. Like I was the champ back then. I'm still the champ now. I'm gonna eat that guy alive. Even if they say, "Hey, this is just an exhibition match. Take it easy. Here's the outcome we expect." Don't care. I'm telling my friends, put all your money on me because I'm gonna destroy this guy. I'm gonna open up with a haymaker inside of 1 second of that bell. It's gonna be like the floor is lava. I'm trying to knock that guy out and get out so my feet don't burn. Vegas is the only winner. Exactly. All right. So as far as the Russell goes, okay. So this was kind of troubling last week to talk about because there were signs about things selling off, right? But the overall trend was up, and we talked about this, and we talked about this range right here, and that how we hadn't broke out. So all we've done is sideways. There's been a lot of people talking and just run their mouths, but we've gone nowhere. We finally got the break and closed below. And if you've been following me for any amount of time, then you know the second I draw these red lines, that break is usually your signal to which way we're headed. And we broke low. And right now, bear flag reversal. You might see some buyers right here. If that doesn't, then I'd say we might be in store for a decent setup, a decent downside move. I would still be on the lookout for any buyers in this yellow zone. So this yellow zone, the Russell breaking that 2,000 mark, that's going to make headlines and everything. So I would be careful there. Mike needs a win and one of Jake's ears. Gosh, I got a lot of stuff on my charts. Sorry, guys. I just don't like having cluttered charts, and they're getting that way. So we're going to start cleaning some of these up. All right. So what is... So March 22nd is the expiration. Let's go to IWM. IWM 530. I have to fix all my indicators for now. We're going to manually draw it. That was one of my things to you know what? If you have my charts, guys, I'm going to update these after the stream. But for now, the expected move for IWM is 530. So I'm going to make it wide just so nobody gets confused with the old lines. So from Friday's close, $5.30 up, $5.30 down. That's what market makers are pricing in. If you guys don't know what that means, just go to one of my previous videos where I've explained it a million times. I have a video called Total Technical Analysis. Just find that. That might be on Don Fran's show. So just go to that channel. Look up Total Technical Analysis because I talk about how zones will fit the past and how you can look to the future with market makers. And I know people love to say that market makers are out to get you. They actually don't care you exist. And that's not to even be mean. They don't know, and they never will. There's you, and then there's institutions, right? You guys can go to bat all you want, right? So if you guys were to play a game, imagine a football game, you versus the institutions, the market makers are just the field. Doesn't really matter. It's a green field regardless. So they will be at a neutral delta. So that's why I worry. I worry when it gets outside these levels. These are not support and resistance levels, but you'll watch them run right to it and hang out. Kind of like we almost did it last week. I thought we were going to get there. Um, but anyway, let's talk about tech for a second. Tech still kind of has this. Where did I get that? Is it the 4 hour? Okay, so last week I talked about this specifically right here. We sold off, yeah, whatever, kind of grinding off. We get to that same level, and it's like an institution, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, one of the bigger institutions just clicked market sell. Now that sells the whole order book and drops this thing down. So from here to here, same levels, same numbers. We covered it a lot faster. That was my sign as to something is up. So when we got up here, I went short. I bought puts on QQQ, and it paid off nicely. Some of you followed me into that trade a little bit later. And even those that did still made money on it. Shout out to Technician. Anyway, he followed me in. He got his fill was a little bit higher than mine. Went right to the wire. And I'm telling you guys, that was part of my plan from the beginning was risking capital. I'm taking this thing to the end. And man, did we. Friday, we finally got the absolute breakdown just to send it, and we nailed. I went ahead and closed it literally at the bottom. The best place you could have closed puts. It was great. For now, we'll see if that was the best decision or not. Either way, if we'd hit this yellow zone down here, I would have gone long. So we're kind of talking about this. Yes, I went shorter term. It's really a battle of time frames at this point. Overall, still very much on that grind up. And anytime I'm short, at the beginning of the year, I went short the S&P. So I was in SPXS, an ETF that goes up when the market sells off. I was in that. I chose that ETF because I didn't want to do options and give myself an expiration. But with the NASDAQ, I just don't want to play that game. I do want to have an expiration. There's going to be a clock, and it's going to run out. You guys have seen a lot of my AI videos on Don Fraud's show. Some of you guys think they're a bit, I'm a bit excited. Maybe, maybe not. Before you say that, do you really understand computing and processing power and just how fast a computer thinks compared to a human? I'm a robot. I can tell you all about it. But the one thing that has me worried about shorting tech is I don't think the next big, we'll call it invention, discovery, the next big thing is not going to be like, hey, we're working towards it and we should have it by next Thursday. Everyone's working towards it right now. It's going to be like a random borderline accidental discovery. And then I do worry about, do things get crazy that day? Could be a year from now, could be 6 years from now, could be 6 days from now. I don't know because I'm not the one individually in charge of that. But that's why I would rather short the Russell and the S&P. A lot of the NASDAQ stocks, they're in the S&P, but the hit just won't be as hard. If you're going nuts and AI is discovered there, or, an individual company just sends it, it'll be a little bit watered down in the S&P. All right. So anyway, as far as the NASDAQ goes, kind of in a peculiar spot. We broke below here, so we're bears. Is there enough meat on the bones to really go short right here and hope for that yellow zone? Because when I'm trading, I'm expecting it to go yellow zone to yellow zone, kind of like we did back here multiple times. So I'm expecting it to go all the way down here. This blue zone is where we could reverse, we call them speed bump zones. Could reverse, could just get a little hang up. I expect the green candles to show up here. We'll see if it's a reversal or not. Right now, who cares? I'm not in. Do its thing. I would still go long in this yellow zone regardless of the trend line. And for those asking about selling puts, that's where I would like to sell some puts on the NASDAQ, is right there. As far as the expected move for the Qs, 993. As far as the S&P goes, bear flag or reversal, again, we're still at higher low. Let's let the market makers, the institutions, let's let all of them get their coffee tomorrow morning. Let them show you their cards first and then make them move. But in the meantime, we're down too much to really be entering short. If I were to enter short, you'd have to put your stop right above this wick. And if you're trading futures, that is like calling up Citadel and saying, hey, my order's here. I would really like it if you just bought the whole order book up overnight and tagged my position out. That'd be real sweet because I'd love to wake up in the morning already down money. So the risk I don't know if it's actually worth it. Some scalpers might really like that, uh, but personally, I think I'd rather wait for a dip buy down here, or wait for the market to be open, maybe a little more liquidity in there. And if we were starting to bleed out, break this candle, start to get lower. Yeah. If we break this, if we break Friday's low, at that point, I could comfortably go short as a breakdown play. But at that point, it's a trend play. Stop still up here, and I feel a lot better. It's just front running the risk on this play. If you're going to take that trade 100 times out of 100, if you told me your win rate was 50-50, I would probably believe it. If you told me your win rate was anything higher, I would probably be very skeptical, because that you'd have to just be lucky at that point. All right, SPY. Sorry, not the S&P. The expected move for that is 817. Let's talk about one more before we get out of here. I do have to get to it's Zoom night for my group, so we're about to hop on Zoom and do all that. So this is the one that I did swing. So it's one that I bought last week. It looked like a momentum stock, and it turned into a momentum stock. Anyway, that did tag out, but I'm back in it. So hopefully that thing just sends it. And I told you guys right outside here is where I would be. So we'd let the morning shake out. But that did tag out right. My stop was right below this wick. It was 895, and that did tag out. I did get back in this zone. It is one of the things that I swung. Now their announcement is going. So Nvidia's announcement tomorrow is going to be tomorrow. Nvidia's announcement tomorrow. Yeah, if you didn't figure out tomorrow by how many times I just said it, trading's probably not for you. But sometimes I do words, and sometimes I don't. Sucks to suck. The good thing is I could do stocks a lot better than I can talk. So it works out. Very speculative. The only reason I'm in this is for a momentum play. A lot of people think Nvidia is going to announce they're going to buy it. They're expecting all that tomorrow. So I would expect some fireworks on that. Words are hard. They really are. This channel is not monetized. Don Fran Trading is not monetized. How will I ever make an income? Guess I'll have to stick with the whole making money off the stock market thing. It's interesting. How many other YouTubers you follow can do that? Just saying. Not to talk bad, but if you had to take a step back and say, I wonder what YouTubers I follow could actually quit YouTube and still make a living, could they check that box? There's a few. There's a few that I think could. But if you had to, if it was just a mystery YouTuber, I would put my money on no. What's Nvidia doing? Well, Nvidia's hanging out. Bull flag or reversal. At this point, I would take the long play. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I do have to wrap it up here. But you will see me live again on Tuesday. In theory, maybe me, might be my AI counterpart. Hard to say. But anyway, I'm gonna wrap up here. Do all the cool things, guys. Hit the thumbs up, the subscribe. It really actually helps if you do share the channel. And yeah, for those on Don Fran Trading, so remember, guys, Don Fran Show still gonna talk about stocks and all that. Strictly AI stocks now. I'm just trying not to bore some people. There's a lot of people that I know that are actually in the AI space. They just don't want to hear about it all day. So I did that with some division. So Don Fran Show, it won't have the expected moves for the week, individual markets and stocks, but it very much will still have stocks. The next video coming out is going to be the top 10 AI stocks. I've already done my top 5. This introduces the top 10 and just some mindset stuff, like, would you rather have Nvidia if you can't afford 100 shares of Nvidia, but you can afford 100 shares of AMD, and maybe you want something in the chip space, would it be beneficial to grab maybe AMD and sell weekly calls against that? Maybe sell some weekly puts, use that weekly income to build your Nvidia position. So a little bit of stuff like that, but we break down, and Mike is involved. So we go into 10, I think like 10 or 11. But anyway, that's coming out. But for now, you'll see me again live on Tuesday. Have a good one.